8:30 to 10 p.m. Amplify your voice.
Good evening. I'm Stevenson Manners, your host of Your Voice with the NRP. It's Monday, July 7th, the birthday of the visionary Joseph Walcott Parry, former Premier of Nevis. Happy birthday, sir. With us tonight, a member of the new generation of NRP leadership, J.D. Keynes, number one in number one. Rally around for the next 85 minutes. We're a little late this evening. Next 85 minutes or so, we'll talk issues of importance to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and of course, our island home, Nevis. Good night, JD. It's good to have you once again.
Good evening, Mr. Manners, and I want to say good evening to everyone in Radio Land. It's definitely a pleasure to be here with you another Monday evening for Your Voice with the NRP. As you know, Your Voice airs every Monday here on 2020 Vision Radio, where we feature members of the Nevis Reformation Party in the form of caretakers and candidates, as well as sometimes we have a youth perspective. Last week, we had Devon Cornelius from my constituency of St. Paul doing an excellent job in sharing the youth perspective on matters of national interest. I just want to say congratulations to Devon and kudos and keep up the great work. Many of you may not know that Devon is also a member of the St. Paul's constituency group. He's actually the chairman. And it just goes to show that there are great things happening in St. Paul. Of course, I want to extend again birthday greetings to someone who I consider to be a visionary leader, and that is the Honorable Joseph Parry, former Premier of Nevis. I had the opportunity to work under a Parry-led Nevis Island administration, and I must say it was most rewarding. At that time, I worked in the Nevis Island Administration's Department of Information. Some of you may refer to it as NTV. And I learned so much. And what I liked about working under the Joseph Parry-led administration is that there was always room for growth. You didn't have a situation where you felt like people were stifling you. There were times when I sat in with the Premier himself as the guest host of what was the name of the show? In Focus? No, but it was when Parry would address the nation on his radio talk show, and so I was able to sit in a few times with him in place of his press secretary, who at the time was Miss Deli Keynes Busu, and so that was definitely quite rewarding. So happy birthday, Mr. Parry, and I want to thank you for all that you have done, not just for the Nevis Reformation Party and the people of St. Thomas's, but for the people of Nevis and even further afield. I mean, you came in to leadership, we came into government rather at a time when Nevis was really crippled. You know, we had an economic recession, we had the closure of the Four Seasons, and you managed to do with quite little in such a short time. And that is, I mean, you shouldn't even have to compare it with what's happening now. But I just say kudos to you. You've done an excellent job, and I wish you very, very happy birthday and many, many more birthdays. Equally, we want to say happy birthday to anyone else who may be celebrating at this point in time. We have persons who may not be celebrating anniversary of their birth, but they may be celebrating significant achievements. As you know, we are in graduation season, and so quite a few persons are transitioning from one level to the next. Here on Nevis, we've had, beginning last week or the week before, the preschool and primary school graduation ceremonies. Last week, I attended two graduation ceremonies, that of the Charlestown Primary School and the Ivor Walters Primary School. And I want to again offer congratulations to a student who just graduated from the Elizabeth Pemberton Primary School. Why is this significant? Because she actually resides in St. Paul, and her name is Mia Archibald. She is the daughter of Adzil and Isis Archibald, and Mia was the valedictorian at the Elizabeth Pemberton Primary School. If anyone knows Amia, you know she doesn't like the spotlight, very shy, very reserved young lady, but she's brilliant, and I'm just so happy for her and her parents. So keep up the great work to Amia, her family, and of course the teachers at the Elizabeth Pemberton Primary School who have worked with her. At the Charlestown Primary School, the valedictorian there was Michaela Bailey, brilliant young lady, and the salutatorian was Celine Gums. Now, I know Michaela and Celine well. I also want to congratulate the top boy, and I know all of them quite well. Jaden, by the way, I know all of them quite well, and so I am proud of them. You know, that is my extended family there at Charlestown Primary. And kudos to all of the children who graduated, the recipients of my award. Well, the recipient of my award for Best Language Arts results was Michaela Bailey. And then we had 2 students receiving the Kajni Keynes Willett, that's my daughter, award. And they were Orisia Perkins of Government Road and Zijon Richardson of Marion Avenue, Ramsbury area, and so congratulations to them as well. Tomorrow, the Maud Cross Preparatory School will have its graduation, and there's a student there who will be receiving an award from me. I won't name that student because I don't want it to be said before the graduation for obvious reasons, but kudos to everyone. And if you did not do as well as you wanted to do at the primary school level, you still have an opportunity to do well at secondary school. So I want you not to get discouraged, and parents, I want you not to get so comfortable and relaxed, because many times when children transition to secondary school, we take that hands-off approach. We don't want that, okay? But we are going to talk a lot more about quite a few things that are happening on the island and in the Federation. So I'll turn it back over to Mr. Manners, and then we'll come back with that.
I'd like to join you in congratulating all the graduates. I can't help but notice at your alma mater, the Charlestown Primary School, and you mentioned Michaela Bailey and how she teared up on stage. And her father, Michael Scarborough, came and put a loving arm around her. And then I noticed the same thing, I think it was the day after, at the St. James School graduation. Young Mr. Douglas had his mother come on stage, who I believe is also the head of the PTA at St. James Primary School. And I heard that scenes like that were across the graduations. It seemed as if there were some very emotional times. What do you make of that? They're loving their teachers?
You know, quite a few of these children who are graduating as valedictorians don't like the spotlight. They don't like the spotlight. Uh-huh. And so this is their opportunity to present in front of a group. And it's like, wow, all of these people are here for me. Mm-hmm. All of these people are here to celebrate in my accomplishments, my achievements. So I think, you know, they're human. Mm-hmm. And so in that moment, the emotion took over. But I absolutely love it, because it shows that even the people you don't expect get emotional. I've never seen or never known Mike to be an emotional person, nor Latoya. Never known them to be emotional people, and both of them got emotional. And I mean, there wasn't a dry eye, you know. And I know Douglas's parents as well. Abigail and I get along very, very well. And so, you know, it's really a great feeling when you see your child do well, and then for the children, when you realize in that moment, boy, all of the sacrifices that mommy and daddy made, and auntie and uncle and everybody else. And so I think that is in a sense what happened. And you know, we don't need to make too much of it in terms of thinking it takes away from their ability to present. It's just a genuine feeling at that time, I believe. And I'm just so proud of the children. Congratulations to Adrian Douglas Jr. as well, and mommy Abigail, who I told you and I get along very well. Adrian is one of those very well-rounded students, because he's quite a good athlete as well too. So to everyone, congratulations.
Yes, it was good to see. Well, we're going to take a break in a while. JD has a lot of issues relevant to Nevis specifically, but we must of necessity, JD, when we come back, speak a bit about the Prime Minister's address to the nation tonight. I caught a bit of it. I believe it was recorded because based on the information I've seen from press releases, he's in Jamaica attending the 49th Heads of Government of CARICOM Conference, where Mayor Motley passed the leadership to Andrew Holness of Jamaica. I would believe that once he returns, that conference started on the 6th, ends on the 8th, which will be tomorrow. So I imagine by about Thursday that he will do a round table so he could expound on the very important issues, policy statements, which were contained in a speech. I watched a bit of it on television, then had to leave for the show. He spoke about SEED, Sustainable Economic Expansion and Diversification. 9 months ago, he indicated that he wanted the nation to pivot from CBI, which has seen depleted receipts, and moving to another level. He said SEED is more than a plan. It's a commitment to powering progress through job creation, innovation, resilience, and opportunity for all. And he said his speech was to share where we are, where we're headed, and how we will continue building a strong, inclusive economy as part of the Sustainable Island State agenda. I don't know if later in his presentation he talked about events of July 1st. Of course, VAT reverted to 17%. It had been brought down to 13% on January 1st. The budget boost wallet is also no more as of July 1st. And of course, St. Kitts Nevis introduced the second level of the minimum wage, moving from $10.75 per hour to $12.50, the highest in the OECS region. So we'll start at the federal level and make our way to the island level. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll look at those issues outlined.
Your voice with the NRP. This and every Monday, 8:30 to 10 p.m. Join host Stephen Semanas and the NRP candidates as they amplify your voice.
And we're back, and I know you've had a very busy day. Were you able to take a peek of the Prime Minister's address tonight?
Yes, Mr. Manners. So I have not been able to look at that yet, but I have it on my agenda or my to-do list for this evening. I actually spent part of today at the dentist's office.
Ooh.
So I wasn't even too sure what state I'd be in to be here this evening. In a bit of pain, but I'll try. I'm trying my best this evening. So I'll definitely look at that, and I'll probably be able to weigh in a little bit more via social media. But you did mention that he spoke about wanting to diversify the economy and change the direction. Now, these are things that I've been hearing for quite some time, so I want more than lip service. Not saying at all that that's what he's giving, but I'm saying that is my standard. I want us to not be comfortable with just the bare minimum, so I will give him the benefit of the doubt by going and listening to the actual address, not press conference, the actual address, I misspoke, and see, what I take from it, and, giving my comments thereafter, Mr. Manners.
Well, he did say at the start that he previously indicated the pivot he wanted to make as Prime Minister and, of course, Minister of Finance, and that was 9 months ago. I'm not sure I've heard much from this side of the Federation. Do you get a sense that we're on board with the pivot? Of course, as I indicated, that it was all CBI for a long period of time, and we realize that the fortunes are changing on that. And we haven't heard too much about SEED on Nevis: sustainable economic expansion and diversification. Should we expect to hear similarly from the Premier and also Leader of the Opposition when one and the same person? When the leader of a country makes pivotal policy statements like these, it's normal that the Leader of the Opposition will give his take. And since he runs an island as Premier, should we expect, or are we being too ambitious to expect to hear from him very shortly?
Well, I think a bit of both. We ought to expect that level of representation, not just from the leader of the opposition in that capacity, but also in the capacity as Premier of the island of Nevis. I think that should be more than an expectation. It's something that ought to happen. Whether or not it happens, now that's a story for another day. Perhaps maybe this conversation this evening, this broadcast this evening will prompt him to do so. I don't know that he is of the mindset and has the ability to respond competently, and I say that unapologetically, to something of that caliber. You see, the problem that we are having in the island of Nevis, or on the island of Nevis is that we keep letting things slide. Okay, the Premier is not just the Premier is also leader of the opposition. If the Premier does not want to be leader of the opposition, he can step away from that post. You know, leader of the opposition in the federal parliament means you are supposed to be holding the Prime Minister and his cabinets to feet to the fire. And I'm not seeing enough of that. Nor am I even seeing enough from you as leader of the island of Nevis. So I'm not quite sure why you're there. But as I said, I will look at the address, and I want to take the information myself. I want to be able to really sit down, analyze it, and then make my comments based off of what I am hearing. I'm just not in a position to do so yet, but certainly that will come. As it relates to the Premier, I hope that he will do the right thing by, providing proper representation for us at the national level and certainly at the local level, Mr. Manners.
All right, well, let's look at the three changes which I indicated. I don't know if in the second half or final quarter of his presentation he addressed those, but July 1st was pivotal. The 22,000 nationals in St. Kitts Nevis, previously on the budget boost wallet, got the news that they will no longer be benefiting from the BBW. At the same time, VAT was restored to 17% in January 1st. On January 1st, it was indicated that to give the people of St. Kitts and Nevis a bit of an ease, that 4 percentage points would be taken off. Let's look at where St. Kitts Nevis is at the moment. 17% VAT, the highest in the OECS. Dominica, Grenada, Antigua, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines at 15%. Anguilla has a gains on sales tax on goods and services at 13%. The new government of Cora Richardson Hodge of the Anguilla United Front had indicated that it was too high and they wanted to move it downwards. I don't know if that has happened as yet. And the lowest rate in the OECS, St. Lucia, 12.5. Are you surprised? Will that work to the benefit of the people in St. Kitts and Nevis, which are already struggling with inflation rates?
Okay, so it may sound like a rhetorical question, right? Mm-hmm. But I don't want to address it yet, and I'll tell you why. For me, I have to be realistic, and I know where the economy is right now, but I also know where St. Kitts and Nevis is. I know where the economy is globally, but I also know where St. Kitts and Nevis is. And I also know that we are not in a good space. I also know we have to balance assisting the people with ensuring that the government is able to stay afloat. So I would want to give the Prime Minister the opportunity, or I give him grace in listening to his address, comment, being able to dissect his address before I'm able to give a comment. Yes, one may say, oh, you should be able to give a comment regardless. No, I'd rather not. I want to look at it to see, even if this this should not happen now, what are the alternatives that are being proposed? I would rather reserve my comment specific to that until I am able to do so, until I'm able to listen, and I will probably do that via social media. What I want to talk, though, it still has to touch on the economy, though, Mr. Manners, is the things that we need to do to be generating economic activity. And one of the things that people would recognize has been done to help to generate some economic activity is to have the St. Kitts Music Festival. Here on Nevis is to have Culturama. One has passed, the other one is upon us. And ironically, I have those as some of the things that I wanted to talk about. But to tie to what you're saying, Mr. Manners, when we look at festivals such as Carnival, St. Kitts Music Festival, Mango Festival on Nevis, Culturama on Nevis, and the like, we would recognize that those present a wonderful opportunity for us to stimulate economic activity. You want to look at the ripple effect. You want to ensure that everyone is benefiting. That's a way of putting money in the pockets of people. So, for example, people who may not be making as much money normally will get a much needed boost to their wallet through these activities. Now, the St. Kitts Music Festival just happened. I was able to attend. This was the first time in a long time that I went to all 3 nights. And that's because the lineup was that good, in my opinion. You know, I thought that they did an excellent job. This was one of the best in my view. I say that because hotels and guest houses and Airbnbs on St. Kitts were booked, as so on Nevis, as was the case on Nevis. The ferries, the water taxis, they were busy. The buses, the land taxis, ground transportation, I mean, they were busy. The barber shops, the nail shops, the hair salons, I mean, everything was busy. The bank lines were full. People were coming home. And when people come home, sometimes they use the opportunity to get their finances in order, pay their property taxes, and all these kinds of things. So it really does put a much needed boost or injection into our economy. And I welcome those types of things. Now, what I think they did good on St. Kitts was recognize that, listen, this is to boost tourism during the down season. Put it frankly, that's what it is. It is not a showcase of our culture. That's not what the St. Kitts Music Festival is. We need to accept that. It is an opportunity for the island to boost its revenue during the downtime, time outside of the regular tourist season. And I am not mad at them for doing that. And I think they really took advantage of that this year, and they did a great job. What I did not so like, though, Mr. Manners, and I'm so happy that the police waited on it. Hopefully it's not just lip service, but something really happens from it, comes out of it, is the underage attendance. Now, I posted about this on social media, and it created quite a buzz. I was not the only person. I realized other persons weighed in on similar platforms. And I stand 100% behind what I said, that I do not think that the St. Kitts Music Festival and other similar events are the places for children. Okay, we can debate the age that is acceptable, but it should not be the norm anymore. I say that because when you look at the conduct that's displayed, when you look at what the environment entails, those are not things that should be open to children. Now, I try my best not to tell people how to parent their children because I have my own parenting style. But let us be real. We can't expect to do one thing and then expect a different result from the children. So, for example, when I looked at Spice's performance, now I am an adult. And I have a right to be at an adult function and have my adult fun. I shouldn't be looking to the left and seeing somebody who is the same age as my child. And I did see that. I did see children who were my child's age, and that is ludicrous to me. Okay, and yes, I agree that parents need to play a bigger role and parents need to take responsibility, and I'm not taking that role away from parents. I am challenging parents to do better. However, those in authority, sometimes we need to force parents' hands, because maybe parents don't think that there is a problem. Maybe as a parent, you hear your child say, I like this artist, and you say, okay, I'll bring them to the music festival. You yourself don't even know. You should, but maybe you don't know. And so I think that at the gate, there should be a scan for IDs. We assess which age we want. I have something in mind because I think it's for adults, but we can assess which age we want. I know as a parent what age my child will not be going to the music festival, and I can tell you she has a lot of years of not going to the music festival, but that's just my personal decision. But I did realize that the police had a press conference, or was it a press conference?
Yeah.
And that came up, and I'm so proud of them for addressing it, and I'm really hoping that we follow through. I was actually surprised that there were persons defending having 12-year-olds and 13 and 14-year-olds, even 15-year-olds at the music festival. I don't see how we can think it's acceptable when you see what was displayed on stage. I mean, one performer had a stripper pole or stripper poles, and people were doing stripper-like things. And so that's not for children. And don't tell me that they can see it on YouTube. So because, okay, so they see people, it doesn't mean that you must put the stuff right in front of them. They know that we have sexual activity to get children. That means you should tell them, go ahead and have sexual activity. I mean, make it make sense. And I think as adults, we need to really do better, exercise better judgment in that regard. So I'm so happy that the police took that decision, and I really hope that something good comes out of that. Now, that was the music festival that has passed on St. Kitts. What about Culturama that's coming up on Nevis?
Well, let's pause for a while on the music festival, because you've been reluctant to put an age on it. In your post, you said you wouldn't want to be having fun, and you look back and see somebody your child's age, which is what, 13, thereabout?
My daughter is 12.
12, yeah. I figured 12, but I went above. 12 years old. I could understand that. What is wrong with a mature 14-year-old being taken by her parents, and I'm talking about a female specifically, to see Christopher Martin, Romaine Virgo, Jennifer Hudson, Virgil Hodge, and Abena Amri? Now, you mentioned Spice, and she was raunchy. There's no question about it. But can't there be nights which a parent could feel comfortable taking her daughter out? Remember that the festival was held in the backdrop of a teen gone missing. I think found dead during the festival. What's wrong with a parent saying, listen, I'm not sure what would happen to my 14 or 15-year-old daughter. I'll take her along with me, and there is parental guidance. What's wrong with that?
Mr. Manners, again, I am not trying to tell anybody how to parent, but I say with no water in my mouth, as we say locally, no. Let them wait their turn. There will be an opportunity for you to go to the St. Kitts Music Festival and other similar festivals in your time.
Somebody wants to wait. Let's take this caller. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice. Wayne.
Good evening, Mr. Manners.
Good evening,
JD.
Good evening.
You laugh. Huh?
Mr. Manners, let me start with you where you just stopped. There's something wrong with a 14-year-old in there being there, where they should not be there. I mean, let's face it. Now, you know what? I'm just shaking my head because I watched some of that, JD, as you said, on YouTube, and it was unbelievable, quite frankly, that even adults would want to see that, much less. Okay? But this is I'm thinking to myself, this is a 9-day chatter. By the time Culturama comes around, everybody's going to forget that, because we have gotten to the point we were literally taking off our clothes in the streets in Liverpool, Culturama. We're out of control with that. So where does it stop? Where is it going to stop? Parents, I mean, and you know, it's sad. I don't think that we should be having this conversation to parents. Are you telling me, are we, stop and think about it. Are we believing that parents are taking their 12-year-old daughters or sons out to a music festival? The first question I have is, spending $175, that's what it was, right? On a ticket?
Yeah, well.
Okay. For a child to be at the music festival, not to mention the outfit and maybe the hair thing and the nails. What is it as parents? What path are we leading our children down? Where are we going with this? What are we going to do about it? And we have to put some kind of measure on it quickly. Otherwise, we're going to be totally out of control. And it's not, this is just the beginning of a nightmare that we're going to be looking at. The music festival people next year need to put something in place. ID or no ID, children can't come through the gates. Let's be real. They're not supposed to come through those gates. Or put the kind of artists up there that are not going to behave like that on the stage.
So let me ask you this then, caller. To what extent are the organizers at fault? I named 5 of the artists who are clean. JD has mentioned Spice. I have a feeling she will put Vibes Cartel in that category. I don't know how many others. So it might be 2 out of a whole lot. Are the organizers at fault in their choice of the artists that they bring here? We seem to glorify, those are the ones we seem to glorify as a society.
Well, if as I listen, because I'm not, hey, I'm from the old school, huh? I really don't listen. And when I did take the time to listen to Vibes Cartel on YouTube, I couldn't understand what the hell this man was singing. Now, this is going to age me, but honestly, I did not understand what he was singing. So I can't imagine me enjoying that being there in person. I've stopped the music festival thing going to for years now. The thing is, though, when it gets to the point where you're going to say, okay, well, we'll allow our children on night 3, but we won't allow them on night 2, or we won't allow them on night 1, that becomes problematic. Because you're going to have parents at the gate saying, well, I didn't know. I didn't know. I thought she could see every night. You know, so I mean, we have to put some things in control. And this is just me. A lot may not agree with me. If I had anything to do with it, Vibe Cartel wouldn't be in this country performing. He would not. I'm sorry. I've always heard about Spice. I've never seen her perform. Now that I've seen that, that's not my thing. It really is not my thing. And we have to be very, very careful. The persons who are in charge of the music festival, we have to be very, very careful of the decisions we make. Let's be real. It's all about money, yeah?
And
Really,
caller,
so many people showed up this year.
caller, that's the direction I want to go. That's exactly the direction I want to go. I want us to understand that the music festival is to generate some income, is to have some economic activity in what we would consider the downtime for tourists. Okay, that's what it is. We need to understand that there are different ways, and as time progresses, there are different ways. You're a business person, there are different ways that people would make their money. I don't have a problem with the lineup. The lineup was not my issue. If I had a problem with the lineup, I would not be attending. So the lineup was not my issue. I think that the organizers accomplished what they set out to accomplish, which was to make money and to boost economic activity in St. Kitts and Nevis. They did an excellent job of that. Whether or not I am a fan of the artists is beside the point. For me, neither the artists were the artists for sure wasn't the problem, because we knew who they were when we brought them here. So we can't be mad at them for coming here and doing what they have always shown us that they're accustomed to do. My concern has to do with children being at the event. And it's not just the music festival. I don't want anybody to think that I'm bashing the music festival. I will say here that I think this was one of the best music festivals that we've had in a long time. Okay, and that's me speaking from an economic standpoint. What I believe is an issue is that we need to start to set boundaries in place for our children. Yes, everyone will not agree. Maybe there are things that I do that other parents may not agree with. But I can tell you that my child will not be at the St. Kitts Music Festival or other similar events as a child. She is a child. Let me go out and have my adult fun. And you see, this is the problem we have. So I will go out to an event and I can put on my nice adult clothes, my little hot pants, because I'm an adult and I figure I'm going out to an event with adults. Right? And then a fellow adult gonna watch Big Me go in a corner and say, well, Big, why I dress like the young people? Excuse me, which young people? You mean the 15-year-olds who are not supposed to be at that event and who should not be dressed like that? That is the problem that we are having in society. We are allowing the children, because everybody is doing it means that it's right. I tell my daughter all the time, I'm not John's mother. I'm not Mary's mother. I am your mother. And so these are the things that this is the standard that I set. And I love fashion. My child always dresses nicely, but you would never see her and think that she looks vulgar, because that is not the standard I set. I want to go to an event, an adult event, like you said, Carla, and be in the company of adults. If we want activities for children, then let us have activities for children. So if we were to have a separate event, right, that starts 2 o'clock in the afternoon and it finishes at 7, and we call that the teen edition, I am open to that discussion.
Matinee.
I am open to that discussion, because that is for them. If we want to have a Juve that is just for the teens, I am open to having that discussion. Right? But you don't have any call in the thing with the big people. That is my stance. And you see, we have to look at the ripple effect. Mr. Manners mentioned, there are some artists who are clean. I am not calling any artist clean, nor am I calling any dirty. They have the people who they got, who they cater to. And clearly, based on the turnout on the different nights, you realize that they do appeal to people. Parents need to remember that it's not everything that's out there we are able to go to. You know how many events I've missed because I am a mother and I don't have anybody to hold my child for that event. You understand? Because as big as a family I have, ain't any and anybody could hold my child. You're mad? No. Not any and anybody. You understand? And my parents could tell you, sometimes they have to beg me, because as much as they don't tell me no, as much as if I go tomorrow and I say hold still, they don't have to ask me. They won't ask me why. They would gladly take her. You know why they would gladly take her? Because that's not something I do on a regular basis. Because I understood that when I became a mother, that is my priority. So if you don't have somebody to hold your child, you have to go to the music festival.
I think we've gotten to the point where as parents we don't know anything, or we refuse to identify sacrificing for our children.
Exactly.
And then part of the problem.
And then when they go to school, mind you, I'm not saying they don't see certain things on YouTube, but even that we need to monitor. I mean, we have children, so because this is the age where children have devices, we must just, so is it that we just leave the children with the devices just like that? So we don't take the devices, because devices are in my home, but devices sleep in my room. They're telling you all my business now. Devices sleep in my room, because if it is sleep time, what call do you have for a device? You have no reason having a device. Why are you at 13 and 14 years old online at 1 a.m. to do what? Why do you have unlimited access to a cell phone? Why? No, if the cell phone was created for this particular purpose, you're with me. You know,
Mhm.
we're not doing any research or anything. Why you need to have unlimited access? I consider myself fairly young, but I'm very old school in the upbringing. And I am not going to let any device raise my child, nor any artist raise my. You know who my child was thrilled to hear about on the music festival lineup? Barrington Levy, and she's 12, because that is the music she's hearing. That is the music she's hearing. When I'm not saying she doesn't know the other songs, but she's not gonna get them through me. When I want music playing in the car that I think is suitable for her, I play the music that I think is suitable for her. That's why she like Barrington Levy. But
If I can just say,
Sure,
if I
go
can
ahead.
just say this, because I don't want to tie up your line.
Sorry,
too long.
I got passionate.
I think the music festival this year, if I can give them this, did an excellent job. Something came together this year that hadn't in the former years. If you look at the crowds, if you look at the people, and I happen to know several small groups of friends of mine who were in St. Kitts for the music festival. One particular group, after they heard about the Mango Festival, stayed on.
Wonderful.
And that's to the benefit of Nevis. I saw the boatloads. I went to Sunshine one day, and I was told at the door, we're closing the kitchen in half an hour. We don't have any seats. In there was jam-packed. And I said, kudos. I mean, there's something that happened this year. I think at a press conference, I heard them say the first night they had over 10,000 persons, and the second night was bigger than the first night. So the numbers came together. I think it's an awesome marketing experience that they're doing, twinning the music festival, the Mango Festival, and Culturama together. Because again, I know of several persons who are now planning to come next year and having family reunions here because of this for the different festivals. Okay?
Thank you.
I think something is happening, and I want to say kudos to them for what they did. As parents, the responsibility go back out to us. Keep your child home. Go parent your child and sacrifice. One of these days, you will understand why you stayed at home and didn't expose your child to what she or he would have seen out there on that particular night. One of these days, you will understand. But it's called sacrifice. And Mr. Manners, coming back to your question, I don't know if it's the music festival or the police, but some kind of law should be in place. Because guess what? As I'm listening to the talk shows, it's not just a music festival, you know. Some of these children go out to bars all the time. Some of these children go out to parties, clubs, and things like that all the time.
Yep.
Who is monitoring these underage children who are being out in the streets those type of nights?
Yep.
When they should be home. So,
Thank you.
Something needs to be done, and in the light of what just happened with the young girl in St. Kitts, it gives us even more reason right now to hold our babies, our children tighter.
Yep.
Our neighbors' children, our neighborhood children, their school friends, everybody, hold them tight. I got one out there who's 30-something years old now, and it started a long time ago. I used to call him and say, it's 10 o'clock. Where are you? When are you coming home? He said, Mommy, I'm coming home now. And to this day, wherever he is, he's up in Europe sometime, right now. And he'll call me and say, Mommy, I'm this place today. I'm that place tomorrow. You know, you open up that door for your children to depend on you, to talk to you, to share with you, and so they don't turn their direction on the negative as opposed to the positive.
Okay.
God bless the people of St. Kitts Nevis. Good night, guys.
Okay,
Thank you so
caller.
much for weighing in.
According to the Prime Minister this evening, between June 21st and the 28th, over 8,000 people entered the Federation using the new ETA system. So the caller has made a very important point that it's a hot summer. It's being advertised as a hot summer from music festival to mango festival to Culturama, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's very good hype, very good promotion.
I
But
disagree.
You disagree?
I disagree. I don't think that the three tie in. I think that the organizers of the St. Kitts Music Festival did their job. I think they did a fantastic job in promoting the St. Kitts Music Festival as just that, the St. Kitts Music Festival. They did not twin to promote anything else, nor is it their responsibility. I told you I was at the festival all for the 3 nights. I know I saw some advertisements for the Nevis Mango Festival, and kudos to the Tourism Authority for doing that. I did not see, I can't say if it happened when I took a bathroom break, but I did not see any Culturama ads. I saw one ad the first night, I think, and that featured the Caribbean Culture Pageant. But in terms of a Culturama ad, and if there was one, I stand corrected, but for the 3 nights I was there, I didn't see a single one. And if there was one, that means it played once, which was not effective. Okay? And so I don't think that the 3 twinned. I'll tell you why I say this. Yes, Music Festival was last weekend. Some persons were able to stay on and capitalize on the Mango Festival, and that is great. But the average person didn't do that. They were in and they were out. That's the reality of it. They were in and they were out. It is highly unlikely that those same people will come back for Culturama in such a short space of time. Let's be real. If they do, I am happy and I would actually welcome them. I'm not on the Culturama committee, but Culturama is our thing. I love Culturama, and so anything I can do to help promote Culturama, I will do that. Okay? However, we missed the mark. We missed the mark in terms of capitalizing on this wonderful opportunity to have Culturama promoted and marketed, not just at the St. Kitts Music Festival, but before the St. Kitts Music Festival. Because what is happening right now is that we have heavy and stiff competition from other festivals within the region. We have Virgin Islands Festival. We have Anguilla. Anguilla is pulling out all the stops this year, in my opinion. I mean, we have Antigua. So there is a lot that's happening. People aren't just sitting down and waiting for Nevis. So we missed the mark, in my opinion, in terms of pushing Culturama earlier. We knew very early what the music festival lineup was going to be like. We knew that we were going to have record-breaking numbers. If we didn't know, we ought to have known based on the lineup. And so we missed the mark to really aggressively push that. Marketing is my forte, so I know I have some knowledge of this. Now, Culturama is upon us. And apart from the people who have been around for a long time, so you kind of have an idea of how things normally fall, you really don't know what's happening. I have reason to be near the Fit Park very often. And just Saturday, and I'm pretty sure people don't know this, there was an activity, Fit Games, for want of a better term, featuring the contestants. So the Mr. Cool, Miss Culture Swimwear, and Miss Culture Queen contestants. And they were the only ones there. They were the only ones there, right? These are the kind of things, when you have the top contestants, the queens, wherever the queens are, you're supposed to be able to pull people, Mr. Manners. You're supposed to be able to pull people. I found out just before the activity, there was no serious push for it. Yes, it was a development thing for the contestants, but I know they were hoping that other persons would join in and probably be part of the teams. And that's something that's not happening. And we really need to be doing a better job of that. What I will say is that this year compared to last year, I've seen the posters starting to come out a little bit. No, because last time they came out a week before and that wasn't good enough. So I want to say, okay, you're doing a better job in terms of putting out the posters earlier, but there is not an aggressive approach to the marketing of Culturama. It could be because the funds are limited, but there are certain types of marketing that is free. And we are not capitalizing on that, and I think that is a problem. So pardon me, I'm saying I don't see these three connecting. I don't see that the music festival is benefiting Culturama. I think its music festival had a job to do and they did their job. Nevis Culturama has a job to do and we need to do our job, Mr. Manners.
What about coordination? I've always wondered about this. People in St. Kitts, organizers in St. Kitts have become taskmasters at activities like these, starting with World Cup 2000, well, even before that, Music Festival 1996. But Cricket World Cup and all the cricket matches they have. Carnival last year was a mega carnival. Write-ups all over the place, North America, England, I read. And now, again, Music Festival this year. Has Culturama ever tried to insert some of their people on their committee? Have them do an apprenticeship with those organizers in St. Kitts who I say do a top-notch job. You get a sense that in Nevis we are several levels down. If we are sister islands and we are struggling to organize world-class events, what's wrong with saying with the Minister of Culture on St. Kitts, I want two of my people to come over and work along on the Music Festival Committee?
Mr. Manners, we have the people in Nevis. We have the people in Nevis. I'm not knocking your idea, but we have the people in Nevis. The problem is we're not using the people of Nevis. So J.D. Keynes can't be part of a Culturama committee because...
Let's take this. Let's take this. Good evening, caller. Welcome.
Mr. Manners, if after 51 years we need to be having this conversation right now, we're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You are absolutely right. But there is no way we should even have to discuss this at this point. Okay? After 51 years of Culturama, the people, let me talk about our people that lives in the U.S. or even in England. You have to put in for your vacation a year in advance. And people will say to you, well, you know, when Culturama come in every year. No, if I live up there, no, I don't know. And maybe there's some events I can miss and come a little bit later. Or there's some events that I can come, sometimes where I can come and stay for the whole thing. But the point is, organize yourselves. Get your act together. Put a marketing team in place and organize yourself so that you can capitalize and make the best of it for the people of Nevis, something that we can be proud of. Because right now, it's not happening. And let me repeat again, if after 51 years, we have to be having this discussion, we're long past the mark. We're long past the mark.
We have people in Nevis. We have people in Nevis. I'm not saying that you can't include people on St. Kitts, but I don't believe it's a situation where Nevisians are behind. The problem is we don't have the right people doing the right jobs. And I stand firm on that. You know, Corey Tyson, J.D. Keynes. We have all sat on Culturama committees before, but what? We are supporters of the Nevis Reformation Party. Dr. Patricia Bartlett. I mean, come on. So I'm sorry. I don't think that it's a case where any island is superior to. Yes, of course, there are things that we see and we can mirror. But do you know that in terms of an actual product, we have a very good product? The problem is the execution of that product. Nothing is wrong with the product.
No. Let me take a step back. The problem is not the execution of the project. And you went there. I didn't want to go there, but you went there. The problem is the mentality that we have. And if we don't get rid of that mentality, we will always be having this conversation. That's the problem. Okay? And that is why you see some of those same persons who are talented like yourself and others who could lend to the upgrading of some of this will never happen because we're stuck in the mud. We're stuck in the mud, and it's sad. We should have moved on from this space a long time ago.
Long time ago. I don't want to Mr. Manners, with your I don't want to
Sure,
take
sure.
too much time on this because I have another topic I want to touch on. But let me just close up by saying this, okay? I'm not trying to make this show about me, but I don't speak on things that I don't know about, okay? I sat on the Culturama Committee 13 years ago. 13 years ago. I was younger then, right? And that year, we had the Swimsuit and Mr. Cool show finishing at about a little after 11, okay? And I remember when I got on the committee, they told me the time that they're sending people home was too late and we need to do something about it, okay? It wasn't me alone. We had Adele Doe, Renee Wilkinson, Greg Queeley, who else? And Pat Claxton was our advisor. Jermaine Atherton, that was our team. We had a small team, but very, very effective. You understand? And we sent home people after 11 for the Swimsuit and Mr. Cool show. And you know, some persons complain and say, oh, sending them home early like them are children. That's not my problem. That is what the village is for. And so we need to have that collaboration where we say, listen, the shows are going to finish by this time, and this is what is left there for them to do. Nothing is wrong with that. And so that is why the village would come in handy so that persons now can make some money. Sometimes I wonder why people have boats, because there's not enough opportunity for you to make money like before. And that is what I'm saying. We also had the Miss Culture show a week later. It started a couple of minutes late because I was locked up in the the Cotton Ginnery Mall by accident. They locked me up down there, didn't realize I was still in there. But we got the people out on time again. We got and we saved the Culturama Committee money. You understand? So I don't speak on things that I don't know about. I know that the talent exists in Nevis. Look at last year. Look at last year when I had that issue. I was carrying, I said unapologetically, I was carrying the junior parade for years because nothing was happening at the junior parade level. Nothing was happening at the junior parade level. And all I did was ask for a little time. The first time ever. And they made it into an issue. They made it into an issue. Where is it talk about Culturama now? And so you're right, the mentality of our people has to change. But we allow it. We allow it here in Nevis.
Okay, let's take this caller. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice.
Good evening, Mr. Manners. How you doing? Good evening, JD Kids. Good evening.
Good evening.
First of all, I wish the Honorable Joseph Parry a happy birthday. And I wish that he lived to see many and many more birthdays. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes. Good.
JD, Mango Festival, I know you...
Mr. Manners, the Mango Festival, this was my third time, okay? I knew of it, but I never used to go. So I went 3 years in a row, and I'll compare this year to the previous 2 years. I didn't taste a single dish that I didn't like. It was amazing in terms of the quality of the food. I mean, the food was good. The food was really good, and I had other persons saying something similar. What I think we missed the mark with was the samples in terms of the quantity, because I thought that food ran out a little bit too early.
What do you call early?
Last year, well, if I buy 15 samples, I have tickets with 15 samples, I should not be going home with more than half of those samples. And I am not the only person. Okay, so 5 o'clock and stop. No, that should not happen. Then I never heard anybody say that the tickets are sold out. So if the tickets aren't sold out, then why should I be out of food? You understand? Last year, a much better job was done in terms of having food for a longer period. You know, quite a number of the vendors sold out early. You know, so that needed to change. Sidamo Jones wrote a post, and I agree with 100% in terms of that. Sidamo said she actually went early. She went early and still, you know, didn't get to use all of her samples. Additionally, I think it's important for us to have a menu or some name tags, some labels, so that we know what each stall has as a sample. Last year I remember seeing it. I don't know if it was at all, but I definitely remember seeing it at a few, and I missed that this year because, like her, my diet is different. And so imagine me standing in line for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, only to get to the front to be told it's ribs and chicken. I don't eat any of those. And so it would have been nice for me to see something so I know, okay, there's no seafood here, then this is not for me because I consume seafood, or vegetarian type meals. So that I thought could have been done. That would have been better. But generally, the atmosphere is good. The entertainment lineup could have been structured a little bit differently too. Not so much so the acts, but the placement of them to maximize on crowd involvement. But all in all, it's an event that you would catch me going to again. I know I made a post on social media and I encourage persons to go out and support it because it's our thing. Just like I would encourage people to go out and support Culturama because it's our thing. You will always get that from me. I will say when they're doing stripping, but I will encourage people to make it better. That's me. And so I did that, and people went out, and I told them to make sure they go look for the short, cute chef with beautiful dimples.
Your sister.
And they did that because she told me this morning, a lot of people came and say, JD sent me to you, and make sure you tell her I came. And she said, Jay, I don't even remember who half of them were, but I'm so grateful, And so people did that. And I was just happy to see the activity on Nevis. I am not like some persons who criticize everything. If something is good, I will give credit where it's due. But don't expect me to be pacifying any organization or any entity. There's such a thing as constructive criticism. So we did do some things good. The marketing for the Mango Festival is exceptional. But we dropped the ball this year in terms of the samples, having more samples. Last year we did a better job. The year before was poor with that, but we came back hard last year, I must admit. This year we didn't go as bad as the year prior, but we definitely dropped the ball in that regard, in my opinion. But I still though say kudos to those who helped to get it where it is. Let's take the feedback of the public seriously. Maybe we can send out a survey so that you can actually have it documented what people's feedback is, and you can make informed decisions, data-driven decisions going forward.
What would you say to those who say it has become too commercialized? You said, for instance, they should know how many tickets were sold and have food on hand. I saw comments where late in the afternoon they were selling tickets from a bus window. So you can't, at that point in time, be catering for people who you don't know will be attending. Fern Jones said that the numbers were over 3,005 this year. I think he said a 39% increase on last year.
But you know how many tickets you print. You know how many tickets you print. You know at what cap you're going to stop online. So even if you're selling tickets out of a bus window on the day of the event, because I do think you should sell tickets on the day, because not everyone will get an opportunity to buy online or in advance, okay? So there's nothing wrong with that, but you must have a cap. You must know how many tickets you're selling, and you cater to that number, because it is unfair for me to go back with half of my tickets or more than half of my tickets. And I am not the only person. I can guarantee you that in a half an hour, I can round up 50 persons who had the same experience. So that is what I'm saying. So I'm not against them selling tickets on the day, but you should have a cap. You should know how many tickets you sell, so you know how many persons you're catering for. So that was my issue there as it relates to the Mango Festival. I do think it is becoming a bit commercialized, but we have to balance it. Okay? What is it that the Mango Festival was created to do? Is it to promote the fruit, which I think it was? If that's the case, we are still promoting the fruit. right? Maybe what we need to do is to continue to find creative ways of ensuring that that is done. I particularly like the fact that they're spreading out the events over a 3-day period, even though people like me have only capitalized on the one day, so that's something that I should probably look at next year. But I like the fact that they're spreading out the events over a 3-day period. I think that's a step in the right direction, because then you get the education one way or another. But again, we have to balance the risk with the reward. And so it's just up from here. If we put out that survey and have data-driven decisions, I think we can only improve.
I had a bit of chuckle this morning. He was obviously bubbling over with the success of the festival, Fayon Jones, on Freedom Radio, I think it was. He said when he was at college and he told people he was from Nevis, they asked him where in Jamaica. Of course, he says he wants it to get to the point, just as when you hear Jamaica, you think Bob Marley and Usain Bolt, that when you mention Nevis, people say, oh, that's the country with the mangoes. Now, we're not the only country with the mangoes. We're told we have 44 different varieties. Are we getting to that point where Nevis is being regarded as mango country? Or should we take this to another level? The party leader has said on many occasions, she said it last year, she said it this year, that, and we've been hearing this from children, that we need to begin to have something of an industry, capitalizing more on the mangoes which we have at this time of year, as we say locally, knocking dog.
So it's a mixture of both. I think we have gotten to the point where people know, definitely in these parts, that Nevis is the mango capital. When you think of great mangoes, you think of Nevis. I think that is there. But it doesn't mean that we have to stay where we are. Just how the Mango Festival was created and we are trying to boost the mango, I do think that the party leaders' ideas and the ideas of others are quite useful, and they can help to bring some additional promotion to the fruit, as well as some economic benefits to the island of Nevis. I want to say before I forget, though, that everyone who played a part in the Mango Festival should be commended. Many times we only look at the persons who are on the front line. So we see Fayon Jones out there doing the marketing. Fayon Jones is my guy, like him, nice young man. However, the Mango Festival is bigger than Fayon Jones. Fayon Jones came and met the Mango Festival. So to all who were there before and laid the groundwork, I commend them. To all the volunteers who were there on the day, who helped Fayon and his team to execute such a wonderful festival over the past couple of years, I commend them as well. We don't want to forget the people who work behind the scenes. A lot of technical work had to go into it. We had electricity, so we needed Nevlec. We had a lot of persons who played a part, so we want to thank them as well. But Mr. Manners, I do think that the time has come for us to look outside of the norm. Yes, we are doing a good job. Of course, I mentioned the areas that we can go in terms of the festival, but we need to start looking at other ways of boosting our revenue. I like to look at the long term. I can't just see as far as tomorrow. Or this afternoon. I like to look at the long term, and I don't know that we have the right set of people in government right now in Nevis to bring about real, meaningful, purposeful change in the long term. So I welcome suggestions such as those by the party leader, Dr. Bartlett, Rohan, and others, in terms of generating economic activity through the export of mango products at a higher scale.
Let's take this caller. Good evening, caller. Welcome to Your Voice with J.D. Kings.
Good evening, Mr. Manners.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening, J.D.
Good evening.
I'd first like to say happy birthday, belated, I think, to my former premier, Mr. Perry.
Today, I think,
Yes.
July 7th.
Yes. Okay, today. About the music, about the
Mango?
Festival. This was my first time, because my former co-workers, who were my co-workers then last year, they did give a very high review. And I decided I'm going to go this year. I showed up, and I was told $50 to enter the grounds. And I am not going to tell them how to do their thing. But I am yet to understand what you get for $50. I was there until after 6 o'clock. There was the Rollins Masquerade. I don't know who have that much interest for the cooking competition for you to go and watch. I don't know if they had enough space. But when it was the MC or the announcer, that went on for hours. I was hoping to hear or see something else. Because you know what? I bought my ticket for $115. I really can't afford it, but he was great and decided I'm going to go. I came back. I still got me 3 chips, yeah.
Okay, you see?
I'm really glad to get back me how much ever dollars they cost.
Okay.
The committee have to decide if they want to have entertainment and determine how much money they want for entertainment. Because I didn't go to hear the announcer going on and on and on and on. Of course, you're going to make an announcement. So I have no problem with an announcement. But if I had to, which I think $50 included, I paid $50. I was looking for some sort of entertainment for me $50. And all happened during the time I was there. Just before 3 o'clock was the Rollins Masquerade. We have to do better than that. Because when you pay $50, you expect something.
Especially in this Guava Cup time.
Especially this difficult, very, very, very difficult time.
Correct.
You expect something more than somebody on a mic. And if you want to be on the mic, fine. But then don't charge me $50.
I understand.
That's all I'm saying.
I understand.
Do not charge me $50 if you want to be on the mic. Tell me, okay, 20 to hear me chat. Fine. But for $50, that was a bit much, and it should be looked into. Good night and goodbye.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
I understand what the caller is saying. And a few persons commented on that because, and I guess maybe that was the comment about it being kind of commercialized. Commercialized is that everybody had to pay, even if you wanted to just be there. There was a fee. You didn't want if you didn't want any samples, you wanted to just be there. There was a fee. That I thought was a little, strange, but to each his own. They probably would have created a budget, and that's one of the things. I'm glad that this came up because that's one of the things I want us to get down that road to go. I want us to go down. Is that let people know. You don't have to get into all the details, but let people know what it costs to put on a function of this magnitude, how well you're doing, where the money is going, that sort of thing.
Let's take this. Hi, good evening, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Manners. I'm sorry. I am probably stepping over my bounds tonight, but I just wanted to add something. JD made mention earlier about taking it to the next level and making it more productive for us. And one of the things, and JD, help me out if you can, I don't recall seeing anybody selling the mango product, not the mangoes themselves, but mango jams, mango juice, mango jelly, and that type of thing. And I think that's one of the things that could come out of this whole affair is the productivity of the mango and the benefits of it, and could be sold. I had friends there yesterday who were leaving today, and I was hoping that I could get something to buy for them to take back with them to remember. And I wasn't seeing that, and that's something that that I think that our people should be encouraged to do. And it could benefit on a long term, even to the point that even if people were to return to their homes and want to reorder, they know what I can reorder from XYZ place in Nevis to get the mango jelly or the mango wine or the mango biscuits or the mango bread or whatever it is you want to call it. I think that's another area that we can step up on and make it. Yes, JD, I was just a little disappointed in the food. There was a lot of food, yes, but I was getting food yesterday that I didn't even know what I was getting. I was people were giving me, and I took it because I needed to use up my free stuff, but I didn't know what the heck I was eating.
Well, you see,
And
I can't do that. I
there's
can't do
nothing
that,
on the
so I
board.
asked, but they needed to have labels. They needed to have
Exactly.
labels, yeah.
Labels and signage.
Yeah.
So when you walk up to the booth, you know exactly what you're getting
Correct.
and what is it made of and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
anyway,
I
all
agree.
right.
All
I'll
right.
keep listening.
Yes,
Have
thank
a good
you.
night.
Mr. Manners, I wanted to. Sorry, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I've got one issue.
Yeah, go ahead.
You want me to go now, or you want to go now?
I thought it was having to do with this.
No, it's totally different.
Okay, I wanted to mention something real quickly. I feel my drugs wearing off, so
Well, it's 10 minutes too, so
the toothache is coming back. But
Okay.
anyways,
we won't keep you over time tonight.
yes. Bear with me, guys.
Yeah,
Bear with
yeah.
me. I wanted to mention that it's very important that we really raise the standard on what it is we expect. I'll tell you what I mean. I'm not talking about Mango Festival specifically, Culturama specifically, Music Festival specifically. I think we have become so accustomed to, that's how it has always been, or that's how it has been for a long time in Nevis, that we are grumbling inside, but that's it. But imagine how much we can accomplish and achieve if collaboratively we start to speak out, okay? So I've been using my resources. My resource is
Let's take this, and caller, you've got to be quick. We have a lot more to squeeze in, so make your point.
Yeah, good night.
Uh-huh.
I just want to congratulate my soon-to-be Representative J.D. Keynes. She did make mention of the road in Low Street
I
because
was
Main
coming
Street
to-
is under
Go ahead.
construction or reconstruction, I dare say. And when I drove to Low Street, I said, but these people should have known that this is going to be the road we're using regularly.
Exactly.
And should have some work done there.
Exactly.
And so, Lady J.D., thanks, and I congratulate you. I see that you have already placed yourself to be our representative, and I'm looking so
Gains with Canes.
forward to it here. I say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much, caller. Yes, Mr. Manners. Yes, I was actually getting the. So I was saying when we come together and we speak out, you don't have to be disrespectful, but we speak out about these things. We can effect change. And so I drive through Low Street, not just because it's the detour road, but I drive through Low Street a few times a month, and I know what Low Street looks like. And in the last couple weeks, definitely, maybe last couple months, I'm like, what's going on here? Like just before Marcella, it was really bad. That part was horrible. And I'm like, what is this? And then we started to do the road, and we used that as a detour. And I'm like, we can't be serious. So I said, let me just drive through Low Street to see. I didn't even use it as a detour. I cut around. And when I realized Low Street is still in that state, I'm like, you can't be serious, because I hadn't been there for like a few weeks. I'm like, you can't be serious. And so one day now, I didn't go all the way. I had reason to just be. So I came down Quarry Road and I parked in front of the Happy Endings. And so I took out my phone and I started to record just the entrance there, or well, in this case it would be the exit if it's using it as a one-way. And Mr. Manners, it was bad. And as I said in the video, that this wasn't even the worst part of it. So I made a post on it and people were complaining. And I know sometimes people say, oh, you're painting Nevis in a bad light. Painting Nevis in a bad light for who? You're worried about what people outside would think about Nevis. What about how we in here feel? I have to pay what you call it, wheel tax. I have to pay wheel tax. Right now I need some parts for my car because of how the road sound. I mean, the road has the car sounded. And so I posted about it, and then I see them come and they started to do some work down the street. They didn't fix the road, but they did, you know. And I am grateful for that. I am very grateful, because ultimately I wanted some repairs to the road.
Yeah.
Because it is unfair for our people to be driving on these roads and we're paying wheel tax. So even walking on these roads, I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous. So I want us to continue to put our heads together, put our voices together, unite on positive things. Stop being comfortable. Recently, during one of my house-to-house engagements, you know what somebody said to me? What they haven't done in 12 years, they're not going to do in a couple of months. So no matter how much they try to act like they're doing this and now want suddenly remember that there are communities and they should do town halls and suddenly remember that small businesses exist. They didn't do it in the 12 years. CCM has been in government for 12 consecutive years. I'm not talking about the years they were in before that. I'm talking about consecutively.
Add on 7 months.
Correct. And I mean, what are we seeing? So what they have not done in 12 years, they're not going to do it in a couple of months or even in the next 2 years. So we need not fool ourselves. At the start of the show, I recognize a gentleman by the name of Joseph Parry. Joseph Parry did more with less. Joseph Parry did more with less. You know, I mean, we didn't have the support that we have now. You know, the economy was in a terrible state when Joseph Parry was in leadership. But what did he do? He found ways of stimulating growth and reviving the economy. The public sector and the private sectors partnered. And that is what we are calling for on the island of Nevis. So I need our people to put our voices together, because what's happening right now is not it. And I heard the current area representative for St. Paul, who also happens to be the minister responsible for public utilities, works, all of that, roads, etc., saying that there is no intention right now to do any major road work, but they will be fixing some of the secondary roads, and he listed some. And I was listening to hear Ramsbury. I was listening to hear I mean, you're in town. You're in town. You want to tell me you have that portfolio and you're in, so let me squeeze in town? The roads in Ramsbury are a mess. And believe it or not, Ramsbury is an area that is heavily trafficked. So we got to do better. We got to do better, Mr. Manners.
Well, talking of the said minister, Minister Spencer Brand, he took a roasting on the Let's Talk program last Tuesday night. A concerned caller called in to say that he couldn't take it anymore. That an employee of the Public Works Department, which falls in his ministry, had been using government equipment, front-end loader and backhoe, for an extended period.
Correct.
The minister said, "Thank you for drawing it to my attention," but nobody had put in an application for the use of those equipment. One caller called from St. Kitts and said the answer was not satisfactory.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then another caller, who was quite good, in fact, said, "Listen, I've known you from the time I've been growing up, and I'll reach you in the morning because a lot of things are happening out there and it's not making the government
look
good." And the minister said, knowing the guy, we're good, he's going to find his way to me, and knowing the person, I'm sure he did. The original caller called in to say that this has been going on before COVID.
And I've spoken to you about it.
And I've spoken to you. I've spoken to planning. I've spoken to Ernie Stapleton, the permanent secretary, who's long gone to the Windward Islands. The minister tried to plead innocence. And the guy said to him, "Listen, this has been going on for over 5 years. People are out there struggling to pay their electricity bill, their water bill, to send their children to school." I know he has a daughter at the University of the West Indies, Caville campus, brilliant girl. And Minister Brand was made to look terrible, very, very bad. I'm sure you heard about it.
Yes, I was actually on Von Radio's news as well, and Von Radio had the sound bites, etc. And I was stunned that after all these years, Minister Brand still continues to find himself in these kinds of situations. I mean, it's no secret, and that's the problem that we have, because we are afraid to call wrong. You know, when you're in leadership, you have to make difficult decisions. Everybody's not going to agree with you. You're not going to please everybody, but you have to find a ground and stand on it. And that is the problem that I'm having. We dilly-dally around things. We don't want to find a ground and stand on it. And then when we get caught in situations like this, we don't know where to turn. If you're honest, then you don't have anything to worry about, How much you want to bet that not much is going to change.
You don't think so?
not much is going to change, Mr. Manners. This isn't something that has just started. This has been happening for some time. Persons have weighed in on it. I just like that this particular caller took that stance, you know, and they didn't just dilly-dally around it. They put it to you, you know, they said it to you right there in the public space. And I like that. He wasn't disrespectful in any way, but he put it to him right there. And that is what needs to happen. We need to be calling out these ministers because they just keep talking nonsense in standard English and we accept it, Mr. Manners. And I don't know about you, but I am fed up. I am fed up of it, and I don't know about anybody else, but bare minimum is not my standard, and that's not what I'm going to roll with. I feel that in 12 years, CCM has not delivered on a lot of things for me, and for the island of Nevis, for the people of St. Paul, that is enough for me to say, no, I'm going to try something new. And if I try something new, and the new thing turns out not to be so good, then I don't try it again. That's all we are saying. If you've tried the Concerned Citizens Movement for years and you're not satisfied, try something new. And if the something new is the NRP, and when we go in, we don't perform, don't try us again. Give us that opportunity. Some persons, all they know is CCM because, you know, since they've become a voter, that's all they know. And I understand that. But you can't honestly say that you're comfortable with the way of life in Nevis. You know, I mean, don't you want more for your children, for your grandchildren? I certainly want more for the people of Nevis. We are capable of accomplishing far more, Mr. Manners.
So said before, our friend Shelley Rogers Webster, she was here for the weekend for the Mango Festival, brought a delegation of 10 from Anguilla. Of course, she's part of the Anguilla United Front, the third government and the third premier that Anguilla has had for the last 3 elections. St. Lucia, the same thing. 3 prime ministers in the last 3 elections. CCM has been here for 12 years and 7 months. And we're not too sure what is happening. I know you're at the end of the tether, but event for the summer?
So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. Before we wrap up, I just want to encourage you to continue to support the activities of the NRP. I know coming up, we will be having some sales by the various constituency groups. St. John and St. John and St. George should be having some sales coming up in 2 weeks. The St. Paul group will be having a sale at the end of July as well. We also want to remind you of Grown and Groovy that is scheduled for the 26th of July at Lynn's Deli, and we want persons to come out, listen to Garlic and the Upper Level Band. It's going to be an amazing evening. We also want to remind you that there is a summer recovery raffle ongoing, organized by the St. Paul's constituency group, where you can purchase tickets and get some much needed funds. Notice we call it summer recovery because we know after the monies that you've spent, you want a little top up, and so that is what we are here for. The St. James group is having a event on July 17th. That's next week, Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, over at the over in Newcastle, opposite Nevis Car Rental or Cocky Shop. So I want to encourage persons to support that as well, and just continue to follow the Nevis Reformation Party on social media. We will have our annual all-white affair coming up in August as well. That is the Culturama Sunday. You know, Culturama Sunday, this year we are saying it has a touch of Madras. You don't have to wear Madras. It's an all-white activity, but you can add a touch of Madras. That's what we are saying. That too is expected to be a wonderful event. Tickets are already on sale. So just come out and support the Nevis Reformation Party. I mean, there's another party that I don't understand. Whenever they have things to do, they have money to do it, but I don't see them having one big sale, one food sale, nothing, nothing to generate funds, but they have money to spend. Here, we understand hard work, and we have to put in the work in order to get the results. So we're going to sell Johnny cake, we're going to sell saltfish, we're going to do all that we need to do. because at the end of the day, we are doing it for you. I want to thank you for having me. As I said at the start of the show, not 100%. I spent this afternoon in the dentist chair, and I feel the little drugs that they give me wearing off now. So, but I'm happy that I was able to still come here, and to the callers who weighed in on the conversation and those who weighed in online, thank you so much. We really appreciate these kinds of discussions.
Thank you so much for enjoying the pain for 90 minutes. Get home safely.
Thank you. You
and
too,
have a
Mr.
good
Manners.
night.
Yeah.
That's our show for Monday, the 7th of July. Next week, the professor is in, Dr. Patricia Bartlett. She missed her turn last month because it was a public holiday.
Yeah.
Join us on Monday, the 14th of July. It's going to be jiggy. Good night.
Good night.
Your voice with the NRP. This and every Monday, 8:30 to 10 p.m. Join host Stephen Semanas and